Welcome everyone to the first ever Southern Thunder Live. Tonight we're going to start things off by getting to know the man behind the show and the Southern Thunder Dirt Tour, Brian Mansfield. Brian, welcome.
Hey, what's going on?
Putting you in the hot seat tonight. It's the first episode, and you'll be taking over hosting duties. So I thought we'd start by letting everybody get to know you a bit.
That sounds good. Yeah, I'm used to being in a hot seat from being a race promoter.
Yeah, I heard that. So, okay, well, how about we start with your background a little bit? How did you first get involved in kart racing?
Well, I guess you say I've been around racing since I was born. My dad was pretty well known around Waycross Motor Speedway and Golden Isle Speedway, and he ever since I was little, he took me to the races. And around 1994, I started racing karts myself. I used to go out there and watch some, and then got into racing myself and raced up until about 2004. And then I got the crazy idea I wanted to be a promoter. That's kind of how it all happened. I mean, it's my whole family's have been involved in racing, and the ones that know my cousin Kevin that works the races for me. He's more like my brother. He raced, and it's just in our family blood that we all raced. And I was the only one other than Kevin involved in the go-karts. Everybody else was involved in cars. But leading up to promoting, I guess around probably 2000 or so, I decided to try my hand at flagging, and started flagging over at Satilla Creek Raceway in Hortense, Mr. Donnie Townsend, who unfortunately we lost a couple of years ago, and we do the memorial race for now in October. Phenomenal racetrack. He gave me my first shot at flagging, and from there I just kept learning different positions and until I started promoting in 2005.
Wow, so you're right really at the 20-year mark. That's pretty impressive there. What's something about promoting a race that maybe people watching don't realize happens behind the scenes?
There's a lot more phone calls than what people make. I mean, we do talk to people more than what people realize. I got people that I feel like I can count on that can give me good advice. And after 20 plus years, I've kind of, it's kind of routine to me now. I use the same template for every race that I did 20 years ago, and I don't do nothing no different. And it's just a lot of phone calls, a lot of stress. At the end of the day, just like the drivers want to be paid, so does the track owner and all that. And you put up the purses and you just hope the crowd turns out. And the main thing is to just always treat people good. They'll be there, but like I said, just mostly the stress that's involved. It's not something we just go out there. Everybody thinks we get rich, come home, live it up, or whatever. Somebody like me that's very passionate about the sport. I work every day of the week. This is pretty much my full-time gig, is just racing, and that's what I love to do.
Well, it shows in your passion for sure. I know that's something I've noticed when I'm at the track with you. So far, what's been your maybe a favorite event or racing memory?
My favorite event's always the last one. I cherish, I'm 46 years old now, this will be 47 in December, and I cherish each event more than I ever have in my life. 2015, my health took me away from the sport for quite a few years, and I came back in 2013 and did a race, and then the series came back in 2014. And before I got sick in 15, I have to say there's times I made a lot of mistakes and probably took some things for granted. So now I look back and I cherish each race as and look forward to the next one. I mean, the next race is it's the most exciting race for me. I I particularly like our bigger events, what I call our marquee races, which is of course, the Garland Rolling and the Donnie Townsend, Memorial, and then you got the Greg Morgan Memorial that we've done, and the Michael Ropey Memorial. And I know we do put in quite a few memorial races in our season, but these people that I do the memorial races for, they were close friends of mine, and most of the people in karting knew them, and so those are probably if I had to say anything, that was probably my most exciting races I look forward to. But more than anything, I'm excited about the last one I got done, and even more excited about the next one coming up, which is about 2 weeks from now, I think. Now, Callahan, seems like we hadn't raced in forever. Everything keeps getting rained out. And of course, we took a summer break off. But as far as the most exciting one I've ever did, I would have to say was the 300 laps on dirt we did at Dexter up at Lawrence County Speedway up in Dexter.
Wow.
They used to have the Breeks 300 at Charlotte there on the front straightaway on the quarter mile, and that was always an exciting event on asphalt. And one day I got to thinking, I said, this race, we could do this on dirt. I just got to figure out a racetrack to have it at, as far as live pit stops. And Mr. Carl Williams up at Dexter, he got excited about it. He paved a pit road around the turns 1 and 2 fence, and this was back in the flathead days. So it was live pit stops, and it was interesting. D. Pascal, I tell you, but looking back, he looked like a NASCAR pit crew compared to everybody else. I mean, it was just unreal how they had everything down pat. But and we talked about Mackie talked about, and I talked about bringing back the 300 lap race, and just trying to find a place to have it. It's more than anything, because you got to have a good pit entry, a good pit exit, things such as that.
Yeah, you'd mentioned a couple names there. I know you were kind of going back to your favorite race, but the memorial races, you mentioned Donnie Townsend, Garland Rolling. Talk about how they helped you. I know you mentioned the flagging with Donnie, but Mrs. Rowland and the impact she's had on you, and anyone else who's helped you get to this point.
So David Rowland and Miss Garland, they were my very first sponsor when I started promoting in 2005. I've known David since the 90s, since I raced go-karts, and back when David raced. And David's always been a good friend of mine. He's always been so nice and very helpful in any way he could. And Miss Garland, God rest her soul, God, I missed her. I miss her all the time at the racetrack, because she was a big supporter of mine, but she also would correct me when I was wrong. And I tell everybody all the time, whenever we used to be up at Dexter, if I ever walked by that trailer, and she'd say, "Brian, come here." I knew I was in trouble. It's because she didn't beat around the bush. She told it like it was. And, that was my first sponsor, very first sponsor. And way back then, I'm a very loyal person to people that are loyal to me, and that have helped me along the way. And back then I told David he would always be my parts salesman as long as he's selling parts. And he has been, unless it's a race he can't make it to. I always give him the first opportunity, because he was there for me in the beginning for me. Mr. Donnie, like I said, the Townsend family, they are a wonderful family. Again, known them since the mid-90s. Tommy, Wade, Miss Esther, great people. Donnie, he gave me my first shot at flagging. Without that, I don't know, kind of where I would be today, because that led to me other opportunities for me to do other stuff. I went and corner work different places. I worked grid, I worked scales, and different things, and announced. That was something that I kind of came into it with announcing, and kind of how the announcing came in was, I used to help write as ed for Speedway USA magazine, for the ones that don't remember. And Ralph Lamb, who was a writer and also in the magazine, he put on the King of the Concrete for a number of years, and he called me up one day and said, "Hey, I need an announcer. Have you ever announced before?" I said, "Well, not really." I said, "I can try." And so the first race I ever announced was King of Concrete. But there's so many, Daniel, the list that's helped me along the way, and I probably would forget somebody. I made a lot of great friends through the years, and still around today. Some have gone on, and but blessed to still have the ones around. And I've always had people that I feel like I could get good advice from, and when I need it.
Well, I know it takes a village. You mentioned Mackie. He's the race director for the series, and I know he's somebody who brings a wealth of knowledge as well as a promoter. Definitely takes a team. So let's talk about the Southern Thunder Dirt Tour a little bit. What gave you the idea to get started on that?
Well, I started, the very first race I ever done was the Ultramax Fall Dirt Shootout up at Dexter. And from there, it led into Georgia Dirt Series and just various other series. And then around 2010, I believe it was, I decided to start a winter series. And I had got with Callahan Speedway and a couple other tracks. I said, "Hey, let's do this little series." And we called it the Georgia Florida Winter Series, and it turned out to be a huge success, much bigger than I thought it would. And then it led into a summer portion of the series, and then we started venturing out some different tracks, and I felt like we needed a name that could cover a broad area. So that's why I came up with the Southern Thunder Dirt Tour, and it's kind of stuck around. And with this being Southern Thunder Dirt Tour, we could carry it to Talladega if we wanted to, and still be under the same name. But I basically wanted to give the racers a good series to run that where they'd be treated fair, and I know at times everybody gets upset and thinks, a call didn't go their way. And not saying we're perfect, we make mistakes, but we do our best to give everybody a fair series, an affordable series. And I haven't forgot where I came from. I was a small racer myself. It was just me and my dad most of the time in the pits. And I often tell people I'm not going to ask the racers to pay something that I wouldn't pay as far as gate fee or entry fee or whatever it may be. Back when I first started, my gate fee I think was like $10, and then $15, and then now we're at $20. And I don't have no, I guess you say, no interest in raising the gate fee or nothing. So I want to try to keep it at 20 and keep it affordable. I don't, like I said, I don't want the racers to pay something that I wouldn't pay. That's why my reserve parking is $25, unless it's sponsored parking. I look around and I see a lot of races that it costs a lot to, and I know parking's optional, but still, when I look at the series, I want to look at it in a way as if I was in the driver's seat or if I was in the pit area, and how I would perceive it. I try to look for it from both sides of the fence, and I feel like my years in the racing has afforded me the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, you talked about affordability. I know that's one thing that's big for you. What you do for the rookies, I think that's something that you and I've connected on. Is I'm not sure there's a promoter. I'm sure there are, but I think again what you do as good as anyone is make it so that rookies and really the parents feel welcome in coming and bringing their kid and running. You want to talk about what that means to you?
Yeah, we got to get new people in the sport, and it all starts in the rookie division, and that's why our rookies, anywhere we go, is free to enter. Um, is because I want them to come out, have a good time, and not have to worry about the pay entry fee. Just come out, pay your gate fee. If they choose to get parking, that's fine. But as far as the entry fee, bring the kids out. Let's let them learn. Let's let them have a fun time, um, and learn the fundamentals of racing. And I tell you, Josh Antley up at 221, that the deal that he's got going, that where he has Doug come out to do the driver development with the rookie drivers. That's a great thing. And Daniel Armstrong and CR7 Motorsports and M7 Motorsports, they've got a thing going on now as well. Austin Banker, I believe he does a junior driver deal, and all that's great. That's what we need, and that's kind of what I try to do with the beginner stuff. I want the parents to come out, have a good time, have fun, and I know it's competitive. It's no different than travel baseball or anything like that. I mean, it's going to have a competitive nature. I just wish just let the kids learn. I mean, they're going to make mistakes, and let the kids learn, because I promise you, when they come off the racetrack, most of them are going to go right back to playing football in the pit area. Like I said, the free deal that we started this year, we're going to continue that as long as I can. And hopefully here soon, I'm trying to come up with something for the Junior 1 drivers for Callahan that kind of helps them out too, because that's kind of the next step. Because, when you look at the junior program, anywhere you go, rookie has been pretty solid in most places, I have to say. Our numbers have been solid. We did drop some numbers this season just because we had quite a few move to Junior 1. But if you look across the board to other series out there, they're drawing a pretty good bit of rookies. Junior 1 seems to be down, and Junior 2 seems to do okay. Junior 3 is looking great most places. And it's kind of strange because Junior 3 is usually the division to where you start seeing a fall off, because at that point they're starting to decide if this is what they want to do, or if they want to go just hang out with their friends or whatever. And they're teenagers, so that's when they start doing what I call true love, and they start boyfriend and girlfriend stuff, and they just lose interest in it and decide not to do it. But we got to find a way to keep people involved, and that's why, again, I try to keep the costs down as much as I can and try to keep it affordable. A junior driver could come out, just say Junior 1. A parent can bring a Junior 1 driver out, run Junior 1A, B, the pro race, get 4 pit passes and 2 parking spots to one of my races for like $250, and that is a lot, but you're getting a lot for your money there. I mean, you get 3 classes to race, 2 spots for, and that's just a family of 4 coming out. So again, just trying to keep it affordable. It's kind of like a church, that in order for a church to survive, it's got to have a strong youth program. It's got to have a thriving youth program, because the people, the elders of the church, not always going to be there. And karting and racing is kind of the same way. We need youth coming up and to fill those spots and keep that revolving door going.
Couldn't agree more. I think that's one thing that I enjoy seeing is, as you mentioned, from the rookie classes into the Junior 1, and then you start kind of seeing that the figuring out part where they're going to maybe join some other teams. You mentioned CR7 or M7 or the Dirty Money team that's starting to work with youth, but you've got so many out there where you've got pro level racers or really just kind of regional racers too that will now take some of these younger racers under their wings. I think that is really shown. And for me, I mean, again, the Southern Thunder Dirt Tour is a great place for that transition to happen, particularly again going from the rookie to junior one and so on. So well said. And okay, so you talked about maybe trying to help out the junior ones here coming up. What about kind of maybe a little bit longer term, year, 2 years? What would you like to see kind of the Dirt Tour accomplish? The Southern Motor Dirt Tour accomplish?
The main thing I want us to keep accomplishing is establishing our identity. We're down here in Georgia, Florida, and South Georgia, and mostly North Florida. Next year, we're going into Middle Florida down to Fruitland Park, and establishing, like I said, our identity some. I feel like we have a good reputation. I feel like people know who we are, but at the same time, you look across the board, and I guess it's a good thing. I say, well, my name didn't get called out tonight, so. Just to be respected. We draw some of the biggest numbers in the U.S. as far as entry counts. Our class counts, or I think we got like 24 classes, which is about average for average race these days. And like I said, I feel like when I look at our entry counts weekend after weekend, we draw. When we're racing, we draw some of the largest counts, and that's nothing to do. I tell everybody, I'm very humble. It's nothing to do with me. It's just all the racers. They're the ones that come out and support, spend their hard-earned money, and I thank them for trusting us and trusting my team. And that's the other thing is we have such a phenomenal staff that work with me and team, and my officials. They do a great job at what they do. I don't ever have to worry about nothing. Most of the time I position myself at a race so that way I can see people and say thank you for coming and talk to them for a little bit, like checking in tires or whatever. Or last year working registration. I do get around and when I can some of the pits and during the day, but I'm one of those during the day. I know they're busy, they're working, and they're focused on racing. So I try to catch them either in the morning or after the races or something. But like I said, I just want to establish a good identity for the series. And I feel like we have that, and I want to keep it going. I thank Patty and Kyle and everybody at Maxxis also because they have helped us establish that identity. We're one of the top Maxxis series, and that that's something to be said compared to where we were at 20 years ago to now. I'm very, like I said, very appreciative of the racers, and then this year we brought somebody like Mackie on as race director. Again, that's establishing that identity. Because when it comes to providing good officials, I spare no expense. I want to bring the best I can on board to make sure the racers have a fair day of racing and a good day of racing.
And that's not to say all calls, you're perfect, right? You're not 10 for 10 or the officials, but I think what I appreciate about you is you own it, you apologize, you make it right any way you can. And again, that goes with any racing, right? And any official anywhere. And so again, I admire that. So I commend you for being somebody who kind of wants to get out in front of it, own it. And then hopefully again, it's for each racer or race team to decide on their own, whether this series or the next series or, whatever track works for them. But again, I think as you mentioned, I could see the team that you've assembled and from flagging to, again, the person at the gate, and everyone in between. It's a solid team. So definitely takes a village. And again, it's just credit you and your team for being as consistent as you can be, right? Within reason as it goes.
Yeah, that's right. We're not perfect. We make mistakes, and I try to own up to the mistakes. And I tell you, just, not to be a dead horse, but just like this past year's Peach State 100, I mean, I was defeated, and that you and I talked a good bit after the race, and because that's just not me. I'm usually wanting to get all my ducks in the row and everything, and just felt defeated because I want the best race possible for not only the racers but for the fans, and the parents and the teams and the my officials too. Like, I mean, I can't say enough about them. I mean, like you just said, they're not perfect. They make mistakes, but they're always there for the racers are there for anybody that needs anything, or that they're there. Especially our EMT Alan. I tell you, I've worked with a lot of EMTs across the racing, they're all over the country, and he's probably one of the best. He is Johnny on the spot when it comes to somebody getting injured.
Well, I want to go back to something you mentioned. You talked about Fruitland Park. There's some great tracks that you've got on the schedule, and I know a lot of the racers look forward to attending them. I believe you've got Fruitland Park coming. Are there any others that you've got slated that you plan on bringing on? Any other tracks in the Southeast region?
Yeah, like we're excited to bring on Fruitland Park. We were supposed to go there. I believe it was last year we were slated, or year before we were slated to go there, and it just didn't work out parking wise. We had them scheduled for a June date, and they're kind of limited on parking. And first day we sold more parking than what they had, so we got to back up and punt. And so this time next year, or September next year, we gave them the September date, because usually our entry counts stay pretty consistent, but usually toward the end you kind of dwindle off a little bit. But hopefully we can fit them all in then. Some other tracks I've talked to JJ up at Swainsboro. Fingers crossed we could get there next May to have a race for our mom's salute race. We're going to do it again next year. And something else we're doing next year, and I want to say this before I tell everybody. Some of these tracks we're going to next year, or whenever it may be, these are tracks, especially what the non-point states. These are tracks, it's not that we're coming in and we're going to try to take over that area or whatever. We're coming in there to basically come to areas where people come from that support us, and come to their area and put on a race. So that way they don't have as far to travel. That's why we're kind of doing the Pensacola race coming up in here September 19th. Yeah, that one next year. I've been in talks with Talladega about possibly carrying a race there next June, non-points race, because we do have some people that come from North Alabama and all that support us, and up around North Georgia. So that kind of, up around their area. We go to Sugar Tit in December. So that kind of helps the North Carolina, South Carolina crowd some, and the North Georgia folks. So just trying to get to some of these areas where people come to support us, and we kind of go to them and say thank you, and bring a race to them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Pensacola. It's a bit of a destination location too. So, but again, credit Casey for what he's done there, and to just second what you said, supporting the promoters who are doing the work of really maintaining a great local scene, right? I mean, again, you can name them out, the ones that have a good regular show anyway. Again, I think to your point, it's not to take over; it's to really just help support that effort, and then again the people who are loyal to the tour that show up consistently. So yeah, I'm excited about it and the future of what's to come. Okay, so let's change gears a little bit. What about let's talk about karting in the state of the state, if you will. Kind of your perspective on, I guess, from the promoter seat. How healthy would you say karting is right now?
It's not as bad as what some people make it, if I had to say. I mean, I feel like could entry counts be better everywhere? Yeah. I mean, but there's a lot of factors playing in to some of these entry counts, and you take into account fuel and just different things, and especially in summertime. Summertime here, um, lately, everybody just kind of takes vacation or they take the summer off. I told somebody the other day, Big A, this past weekend over at Alma that helps us take. I told him, me and him was
On a
talking.
big game.
Yeah, he was like, man, there ain't no way it was this hot when we were younger. I said, because I mean, it's just unreal. And I feel like, people just don't race as much in the summertime. I hope it picks back up some in the fall, but I just don't think it's as bad as what people think is. I mean, especially in our area, it seems like the tire wars kind of, dwindled a little bit. Um, and I saw the discussion. I guess it was last night or when y'all was talking about tires here recently or sometime, and
Mm-hmm.
um, for Saturday night racing, I have to say that I like they were talking about open tire. Um, that way anybody can kind of get a set of tires, go race, have fun. State racing, same, just needs a tire rule. But the main thing with karting is just trying to keep the costs down as much as we can. And also, the other thing is just tracks that are close to each other, no matter where it is, not just around here. If it's around here or Carolina or Minnesota, it don't matter where it is. Don't race on top of each other like this. This is pretty ridiculous whenever you're so close to each other and everybody's racing on top because you're pulling the same crowd. I mean, you're trying to get the same crowd as the whole trying to put the other one out of business. I mean, that just needs to stop. I mean, because I don't like to make the racers choose. It's hard. It's not hard to get along with somebody. Take down here in Florida where we're at, or Georgia, me and Todd Spaulding with Vega.
TS Racing.
Yeah, TS Racing. We do a good job at, I feel like, staying off of each other and our schedules. And we try to put a couple of weeks between our races. And Super 8 down at Crossroads, they stay off of our races. And I feel like down here we do a pretty decent job. But I feel like if tracks would try to work together more a little bit, that everybody would draw a little bit better crowd. But back to your question, as far as the state of karting, I don't think it's as bad as what people make it seem. I see a lot of doom and gloom posts and, this. And that just don't look good because if you take somebody that's just getting into racing and they bring their kid to the race or they get online and read something, and they're like, hey, we want to get in the sport and they see some doom and gloom stuff like how just terrible everything is. They're going to be like, baseball ain't that bad. And take up another hobby. So
yeah. So to that point, what's one thing you'd say karting does really well?
I think at the end of the day, karting it does good about sticking together on things. And I know everybody gives each other a hard time, but at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, I think everybody wants the same thing, and that's to have what's best for karting. I think everybody, whatever that may be or whatever their opinion may be, I think everybody kind of has that idea that they want what's best for karting and to keep karting around and to keep it grow and try to keep it growing. So yeah, I mean, I just think that at the end of the day, karting's good about sticking together. Racing's good about sticking together. At the end of the day, yeah. At the racetrack, people fuss, fight, argue. It's a Jerry Springer show a lot of times. But at the end of the day, everybody's when the push comes to shove, I feel like everybody's got the same goal, and that's to do what's best for karting.
Yeah, amen to that. I know it's there's a lot of noise out there for sure, but ultimately, when all that noise goes away, it truly is about giving the racers a place to go, and families that are, whether it's blood or racing families, a place to go, for $20 on the weekend and spend the day together, right, in a place that's relatively safe. And again, assuming the weather cooperates, you can get a full day out of it. So again, I think that I'd agree with that point. So okay, let's talk rules a little bit. So your series, obviously, you up tires up. You've got a unique tire approach, I think. Let's say unique, just because you do the check-in. You want to talk a little bit about that and how that's fared? And I know that it's already been announced it's coming back next year, and that was from the driver vote.
Yeah. Last year we had a meeting and we put out what the results of the meeting was, and the repercussions was bad, and we could have went about it a different way, and I admit that. And so we put it back out for a driver vote, and the vote went to have the set limit rule. And this year we allowed the drivers to vote again to continue the rule or just go back the way it was and run however you want. And it was close, but it went in the favor of the set limit rule. And I know a lot of people out there call it stupid, whatever. I mean, that's their different people's opinion, and that's fine. Everybody's got their own opinion, and I respect that. And but it just wasn't an overnight thought when it came to this rule. When we put it in place last year to put it up for a vote, we really researched it. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. There's nothing perfect. And this rule was never put in place to try to draw the field closer together, or make the guys that might run 15th to 20th or whatever winning races. I mean, it was never put there for that. It was put in to try to save some cost. And when we did the vote here recently, some of the critics that was of it last year was, that's just me after the vote came out. So, man, I'm glad we keep it. I mean, it saved us money. And at the end of the day, it does. Now, the people that have and can afford to go out and buy, unlimited sets of tires, 40, 50 sets of tires, hey, I have nothing against that. I respect anybody that's successful. But the state we're at in karting, and as far as cost, if we didn't make a step in some kind of direction to try to, help cost a little bit, there's going to come a time when those people that could afford those 40, 50 sets or whatever was going to be the only ones at the racetrack, because nobody else is going to be able to come and afford to race against us. So, like I said, is it perfect? No. Does it even the field? No. Did it bring the racing closer together than I thought it would? And for the most part, yeah. I mean, you look at the Garland Rolling this year, Alma, that was the best race I have ever seen. I mean, the racers came off, man, they were happy as could be. I mean,
it really was. Yeah, it really was close racing.
Yeah, I mean, for a long time there, the top 10 were nose to tail, and then top 5 just swapping the lead left and right every lap. At the end of the day, the faster guys that's always up front are going to be up front. It's no different than NASCAR putting in the next gen car. The bigger teams and all, they're always going to be up front. I mean, that's just all there is to it.
Resources do better.
Yeah. But, and like I said, I know some people disagree, and that's fine, but I feel like it works for the purpose we put it in place for. you know, and I know it's tough. I mean, at the beginning of the day, you got to pick your 3 sets of tires and stuff like that. It, it makes, I guess you say, keeping good notes. And I would think, I mean, I've been out of the tire game so long since I raced that I'm not 100% sure, but I would think that, it makes it even more important to keep good notes and reading the racetrack and all to see what 3 sets need to check in and everything. And I can keep up with whenever we're scanning tires. I know if that tire's been ran the previous race, as long as I don't clear the database. And you would be surprised how many tires are brought back from the previous race. A large majority bring one, if not two, a lot of times 2 sets of the 3 back the next race because they only ran the 1 set the previous race. So, I mean, like I said, we had people that were critics of it that came back at the end of that came back after we done the vote here recently and said, "Hey, for this works." I mean, and the smaller teams and the teams that are trying to race on a budget, the ones that there's some that don't like it, but the large majority I talked to have said that, hey, we like this. And not only that, like, hey, at the end of the day, we put it up for a driver to vote. So, I mean, it couldn't, it wasn't like we made a decision. We put up a vote without the drivers to vote.
Yeah, I think that's the cost is missed. I think when the rule was announced, I guess, and what that really means. I know just from the comments I read on different posts and about, what about prep versus dirty tire and all that. And, it's about the same responses you're going to see on every post pretty much. And one of the biggest one is, well, now you've got to keep 10 sets of tires. You can take that off the board with the Velocita Southern Thunder Dirt Tour because it is 3, right? And not to say you won't have to buy more, to your point, depending on the tire and as seasons go and as wear goes, and again, depending on how they're preparing it during the week. But, they check them in. They can still take it back and do the things they want to do, right? Ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, when they could do what they want to at the house or wherever,
Right.
and come check them in, take them back to the trailer, do what they want to then, do what they want to all day, and if they want to, they can come back to the next race and run those tires again if they want to.
Yep. Well, so okay, what's something you think you do or maybe promoters do in general to help attract new racers or maybe can be done to help attract new racers into the sport?
The biggest thing as far as, and this goes really for any promoter, and is try to keep the costs down as much as possible. Like I said, with our series is we let the rookies race for free. Our gate fees like $20, and with the insurance, I mean, kart racing insurance for us the promoters is no different than your car insurance and your house insurance. It goes up, and now it's $4 and something, nearly $5 an armband, and
Wow.
so I see people that say, well, gate fee needs to be $5, $10 like it used to be. Well, as track owners and promoters, you can't do that. I mean, one, the staff don't work for free, and two, insurance isn't free. It costs a lot for insurance. But everybody, all promoters have their own way of doing things. If I had to say one thing, is just do what you can to keep costs down and try to work with your other promoters. I mean, I'll say it. I mean, there's ones out there I don't get along with, and I try to get along with everybody, but I don't. Like I said earlier, I don't agree with the whole schedule on top of each other. I mean, I mean, it's the racer's ultimate choice where they go race. And I mean, and that's their option. But at the end of the day, they shouldn't have to choose. And I know there's only so many dates at the end of the year, but at the end of the day, they shouldn't have to choose. You know, there's got to be an area there where, or there's got to be something there where we look at the calendar and say, okay, I need to work around these dates. It's kind of like me down here with TS Racing and the Florida Dirt Series with Todd. He put out his dates, and I work around his dates. And then the Super 8, they worked around my dates. So, you know, we kind of all work together. And Lisa down at Callahan, she's good too. I mean, she contacts us, say, hey, what's your dates? And for the most part, everybody, we just all try to, you know, try our best to work together. Fruitland's schedule is real easy. They race the first and third Saturday of the month. So they start about, I think they start in February and run to like maybe May or June, and then they take summer off, and then they come back in September. So everybody down here knows when they race. And next year we actually scheduled our races off of them, so that way our racers and their racers could come, because a lot of our people run their stuff, and a lot of their people come run my stuff. And so next year we made sure we was off of them. I think we're only on top of them one time, and that's in the February race. And February's a little screwy around here just because you have to stay off the Daytona weekend, because everybody goes to, you know, a lot of people from down here go to the 500 and everything. So I usually don't try to schedule on the 500. And I think this year Valentine's Day is on a Saturday, so I gave the husbands and all a little bit of break there. They didn't have to make a choice to take their wife out or come run the series race.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I think, isn't this the first year that Super Bowl Sunday's on Valentine's? That's what
I think so. Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be a bit. I don't know. Decisions need to be made for sure. So okay, so we were talking about bringing new racers in. You mentioned cost. You mentioned the dates and making it make sense for the racer. You know, I think another thing you do well is the rules for the hobby class. Make it fair. Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
You know, we do. Actually, Dyno, they do a great job with the rules with the hobby motors, and
yeah.
And then Todd and I, we kind of get together and we try to keep them the same as much as we can, because I mean, pretty much the people that run hobby's really not that big down here, nothing like this Carolinas, and we try to keep our rules pretty close or the same, so that way that people can run both. I really miss the crate motor. Nick, you heard Nick Bishop talk about it the other night. The crate was a great thing because the crate was a 196cc motor. It came from Bot Stock Project and Donnie Lewis, you know, that made them. That's pretty much all just as equal and sealed and everything. And the good thing about the 196 is you could take it, if you decide to move up, run clone or whatever, you could take that motor and go, you know, run a clone class or have it built to run a clone class if you choose to do so. But, you know, with the dyno, with the hobby motors, they're 212cc motors, so you can't do that. So that's pretty much the only thing. I know the feedback from our races down here, they've enjoyed the hobby, but they missed the crate because crate just sounded more like a racing motor. If I had to say one thing about the hobby rules is they just need to be left alone. You don't want to you don't want to keep pushing the limit to where you're almost at a clone motor, because the cost of them of a hobby motor, you know, I mean, they're already higher than what we ran in crate because you can buy them from builders and build, because you know it's it don't come sealed. So I would say leave the rules alone. I mean, I think it's a great class. I think, you know, the objective of the class is good. but we just don't need to keep changing the rules every year, and keep adding a little more to it, a little more to it, a little more to it, because at the end of the day, before long, like I said, you're going to end up. I mean, you'll be at a clone motor. At that point, you might as well run a clone.
Yeah, I think again, enough can't be said about starting out from the point of keeping the cost down, and if we can make things simpler, easier, without having a whole lot of changes, upgrades year to year, I think it helps to keep people in the sport, no doubt. So, okay, we've got about 10 minutes here, so I'm going to jump to a segment we're calling Brian's Take, quick hits. Okay, I'm going to ask you. It's kind of an either or, and so you can just answer or add to it. Expand on your answer if you'd like. But dirt or asphalt?
Dirt. Asphalt's cleaner, but hot dirt.
Day race or night race?
Now that I've gotten older, a day race, I like to be in bed a little earlier now at night. Unless it's a Saturday night race.
I get that. Sure. Big money race or big field race?
I like to see a big field race. I like to see a lot of karts put on a good race. I don't care if it's $400.
Sure. Short track or big track?
I'm more of a short track person just because that's what I grew up on. I would say if I had to say a track that's probably the perfect size to me is Cochrane.
Okay. Yeah, Cochrane's. I like that place. We were there, in December, I guess. But the last time, I think. Okay, 1 day or 2 day show? Talking about Cochrane. 1 day or 2 day show? I think that was the last time.
1 day on a regular basis, but there's certain times a year 2 day work like Mackey's doing that works perfect around New Year's.
All right, a tight technical track or wide open?
Tight technical, make them drive it.
Qualifying or heat race format?
For a series like mine, qualifying, but for like Saturday night races and stuff, they need to run heat races.
Dirty tire or tire prep?
Tire prep.
Racer feedback or promoter experience?
Racer feedback always.
Okay.
I mean, a little bit of both, but I go by, kind of some of the racer feedback and then add in my own experience there.
Sure. Yeah. I think, again, the combination seems to work. I believe you have a committee too, right? A rules committee?
Yeah, we actually have a competition committee and a tech committee.
Okay. Yeah. The competition committee is what I was referring to, but yeah, you've got both. So, okay. One big marquee event or several regional events?
Several regional events.
Okay, one last quick hit question, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. What's one thing you wish every racer understood about being a promoter?
The amount of stress that's involved. I don't think a lot of people, like I said earlier, I feel like a lot of people don't get that. We want to do what's right, even though that, it's not. A lot of people don't think that. They think we just have to screw over as many people as we can, and that's not the case. We when we come home, there's we have to get ready for the next race, and it's kind of like a never-ending stressful situation all the time, and kind of what makes it stressful too is just. You always, and I know this for me, and this is speaking personally for me, is I want to do what's right for the racer. And, and at the end of the day, if it don't work or whatever, I kind of beat myself up about it because, I pour my heart and soul into this sport. I love it. I wouldn't have been here 20 years now if I didn't love it. And I pray to God I'm here as long as I can be. But like I said, just the stress level of it is speaking for me as a promoter, I put a lot of time and effort into my races. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes, a lot of phone calls that people don't see.
Well, I can say I appreciate all you do for really for the racers in the southeastern region. So the Southern Thunder Dirt Tour is in my mind is as good as any regional series there is. But again, it's because of you and the team you have behind you, the tracks that understand what you're trying to accomplish here, and again, all the racers that support it all the time. Again, about being fair, trying to keep the cost down, particularly for the youth, for the junior drivers, for the rookies, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to be there at the next one. It's the 12th, right? Callahan Summer Sizzler.
Yep. The 12th will be for the Summer Sizzler, and then the 19th will be down at Pensacola for Thunder on the Gulf. And then invite everybody out on the 26th to Alma for the Legacy race, the James Moore Legacy race that Mackey's doing. If you love modified racing, come check it out. And I have to say, Dan, we appreciate everything you do. You do a great job helping us promote our series, and not only our series, but karting. And I know a lot of people appreciate you. We appreciate what you do. This is all a team effort. It's not me. It's not Mackey. It's a team effort. We all got to work together. We all got to work toward the same goal, and that's doing what's best for the racer.
That's right. It takes a village, that's for sure. And again, exactly. It's never one person. So we've all got to kind of try to play our part and help support the sport so that it can continue on into the future when you've got a lot of other distractions, we'll call it, that are pulling people in other directions. So, all right. Well, I think that kind of wraps up the quick hits. And anything else you'd like to say in closing before we wrap it up?
Just thank you for everybody that supports us. Thank you to my staff or my officials. They're the ones that make these shows as great as they are and as good as they are. Thank you for you coming out and filming, and all our sponsors. We appreciate the people that support me. I just thank you for. I appreciate it more than you ever know.
Absolutely. Well, we'll try to get another date on the calendar, maybe same
Sounds
time next week. So, okay, guys. Well, again, thank you for everyone watching. And you got any questions, comments, continue to feel free to drop them, and we'll get back to them as we're able to. So have a good evening, everyone.